Now that the dust is settled and reviews are out, complete with melting cables, I've decided to skip yet another generation of GPU upgrade. I was hoping to continue the tradition of 80 series upgrades, though I did skip the 4080 not believing I needed it. My 3080 is going to have to keep pushing pixels while the 5080 will remain a pipe dream. Here are the 4 reasons why I'm not upgrading to the 5080. Number 1, price. First off, nothing is currently in retail stock, verifying this is mostly a paper launch from Nvidia, and nothing will be available for possibly 3 to 4 months. Second, if you do a search on eBay, you'll find most of them are going for $1,700 to $2,000, far beyond the $999 MSRP. I paid $699 for my 3080, $2,000 is a foolhardy venture. Number 2, only 16 gigs of VRAM. For a $2,000 card, and yes, Nvidia, you knew these were never going to be $999. For a $2,000 card, the amount of VRAM is abysmal. The state of gaming optimization today and how much VRAM engines like Unreal 5 gobble up is going to make this card real old real quick. AMD's RX 7900 XTX has 24 gigabytes of RAM and is only marginally slower than the 5800 for less than half the price. Number 3, it's not a real 5080.
The RTX 5080 cuts this down to just 10,752 CUDA cores, and the RTX 5070 is even further cut to 6,144 CUDA cores. This means that the RTX 5080 packs just 49% of the cores seen in the flagship, and the 5070 packs just 28%. Historically, this is quite a weak hardware configuration, even for the RTX 5080. Across the 6 prior generations, on average, the 80 class GPU featured 72% the cores of the flagship. Some of the better generations, like the RTX 30 series and RTX 3080, this number was over 80%. The 40 series was one of the weakest showings at 59%, but the RTX 5080 is even worse at just 49%. This actually puts it below the relative configuration of every 70 class GPU in the past 6 generations, with the exception of the RTX 4070. It's not quite as cut down as the RTX 4070, but the average core configuration across 6 years for a 70 class GPU is 54% of the flagship, with the 5080 is just 49%, so you could even make the case it's a 60 Ti type of product.
Nvidia slapped 5080 on this card and thought we all couldn't count the cores. The worst thing about the RTX 50 series launch is that the raw performance gains aren't what you expect after 2 long years. On average, the RTX 5080 is only around 5 to 15% faster than an RTX 4080 at 1440p and 4K respectively. The rasterization gains should have been way higher based on their previous history. Nvidia using the same process node as the RTX 40 series is a factor, but then the prices should have reflected that this is only a refresh rather than a next-gen lineup. And finally, number 4, multi-frame generation. Adding fake frames, MFG doesn't improve game responsiveness, only fluidity. Over raw rasterization, it also adds a lot of input latency, making the game feel less responsive even with high frames. In some games like esports titles, this may be a horrible idea to use as milliseconds literally matter. I see multi-frame generation used mostly in single-player games where visual fidelity is desired and input lag isn't necessarily a thought. Other than multi-frame generation, many of the DLSS 4 benefits are already available on the 4000 series and even 3000 series cards, making the RTX 5080 even more pointless. It's just not enough to bottom out my savings account. So my 3080 will have to live in the fish tank for a while longer until AMD or Intel can offer something worthy, or Nvidia rights the wrongs of 2025 and the 5000 series. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to tap that subscribe button, punch the like button, leave those comments below, and I love you people.